A lot of people think a rat is just a rat, but when you're managing the lines, the difference between a clean hooded stripe, a solid Berkshire belly, or a low Dumbo ears come down to specific traits. Today, I'm showing you what these patterns actually mean, how the genetics pass down, and how to spot them early when you're pulling litters. Welcome morphers back to the Morphing Serpents channel. If you're new to the channel, I am Ryan Sungard and this is the Morphing Serpents channel. Today we're going to discuss about how rats are not just rats like most people tend to think. Just like a snake, it's not just a snake. That's the same analogy to rats. It's like all ball pythons have multiple types of morphs. So do the rats, but of course we don't call the rats different looks. Morph, for them we just call them patterns, and we're going to get into that today as far as what are these patterns called. Called for a few of them. We're not going to do all of them, of course, but we're going to do some, as well as if you put two and two together, what are you going to get? What does it take to combine certain traits to get a certain type of rat? Like you have your top ear rats, you have your Dumbo eared rats. We're going to get into all that today, so stay tuned. First, let's look at patterns. Markings like hooded or Berkshire are controlled by genes that determine how much white covers the body. They work on a spectrum rather than like an on and off type switch. Here, let me show you what a hooded. I don't have a hooded one right now. It's what I can find. I can show you guys, but I'll show you when I come close enough. So if you can see right here, a hooded rat is going to have their head fully covered, like you see here, as well as up down to their shoulders, under, I guess I'm going to call it underneath the shoulders. And normally what you'll see with them is they'll have a black stripe that goes all the way down their spine, all the way to their tail. That is what we would call a hooded rat. But this is what we call I believe, if I'm correct on my terminology, a variegated rat, but we'll get to that in a second. Another pattern that we're going to look at right here is what we would call a Berkshire, where they have just a solid color. They might end up appearing to have white on the belly a little bit, maybe on their sleeves, on their arms right there, if we're seeing that correctly. I'm sorry. Kind of hard to see what you kind of looked at while I have my phone. But that's what a Berkshire is. Now we know what a hooded rat is supposed to look like, and again, we're pretending this one is a hooded rat, and we know this one is a Berkshire. Now, if we put these two together, I'm not sure these are both females. Well, this is a female, this is a male. If we were to put these two together, we would could end up with something like this. Right here is what we would call this pattern, what we would call a variegated pattern, where you have the hood light for the top around the head and kind of below the shoulders, but we don't have that solid stripe going down from the spine through along the spine down to the butt end of the tail. So when we get markings like this, we have a variegated rat, kind of which is what this one is right here. But again, I didn't have a hooded rat to show you guys, so I do apologize. If we wanted to try to shoot for a variegated rat, we would take a hooded rat, and again an actual one, not one I'm viewed as an example, close example, and a Berkshire, and put them together, and we might we'd roll the dice and hopefully get one of those. So that's what we kind of want to look for. So those are some patterns you want to look for when you're pulling from your litters. But there's many patterns. There's many morphs of ball python. Same thing. There's many patterns of the rat. I'm not going to cover them all. But at the end of the day, just like when you're breeding ball python, you put two to two together. You're not always going to get what you want. You roll the dice. You have to take two certain morphs, or in our case patterns here, put them together, and hope for the best, help you get what you like to see. So that's a little bit on pattern. Next, let's look at ear placement. Right here, I'm working with the smaller one because it's a little bit easier to handle with and hold still for you guys to be able to see what I'm talking about. But this guy is pretty young, as you can see, but what we call a pup. But just judging by his ears, where the ears are located, right here on the side of his head, I already know he's not going to be a top ear rat. He's going to be a Dumbo rat. And a Dumbo rat is a recessive, on the Dumbo gene, I'll call it that way, is a recessive trait. So it's going to take both mom and dad to carry the Dumbo trait in order to successfully produce a Dumbo ear rat versus a top ear rat. The top ear rat, as you can see right here, I'll show you what one is. That's not a clear one. Like this right here, I already know this one right here, I already know it's going to be a top ear rat. The way that they're kind of forming up, if you can kind of see that. That is what that is a dominant. They're a dominant gene, so only one of them has to carry it. Carry that gene. Just like again back to the bull python world. If you're trying to produce like a pied bull python, you're going to need to have both parents are going to have the pied gene in order to get that pied that you so desire. If not, if only one carries it, you're not going to get it. They can still pass that trait on. That of course that'll be within them. They can always pass it on if they ever end up breeding with another female or male, depending wherever the heck they are, in order to produce that. So again, top ear is a dominant trait. The Dumbo ears is a recessive trait. I don't think I covered that enough, so I kind of want to hit back on real quick before we move on to something else as far as our topics today. In case anybody's curious, Dumbo ears, pretty much they are bigger, rounder, and they're lower set on the head. You know, they kind of like they are, like Dumbo the elephant, big ears. That's how you're going to be able to tell them. A little bit more on as far as the traits and how to produce them. If you pair a Dumbo and a Dumbo together, of course, 100% of that litter is going to be on Dumbo, of course. But now I've already covered the fact if you put a Dumbo with a standard ear rat, top ear rat, of course, it's just going to carry that gene on. And of course, if they're paired with another Dumbo, they can pass that gene on. But I want to go more in depth on that so you guys fully understand that. If you take a Dumbo rat, that's 100% Dumbo ears, and you take one that is a carrier of the Dumbo ear trait, put this together, about half of the litter will be Dumbos, the other half will be the standard top ear rats. And if you put two carries together, kind of the same thing, but your odds are going to drop a little bit more, and you're maybe 25% of that litter will have the Dumbo ear trait ears. But again, they'll all have, whether it's 50% or it's 25%, they're all going to have the trait no matter what, even if they don't get it. So as so long as one of the parents either has the gene or is the Dumbo ear rats. So now that we've covered some of the patterns, like I said before, there's lots of patterns for rats for us to cover, which I bet we'll cover more down the road. But let's move on to their coats and their traits as far as that, like the Rex coat. Sorry guys, the Rex coat, you're gonna have a curly fur and crinkled whiskers on their face, and unlike the Dumbo ear gene. The Rex coat gene, sorry, I'm having trouble thinking here. The Rex gene is a dominant gene, so if you had just one of the parents had the Rex gene, they're going to pass on to about 50% of that litter, that Rex gene, giving them that crinkled whisker look as well as that curly fur look. Now I will say they're not always tightly curled, you know, kind of like. I used to have curls in my hair, so I was going to take my hat up, but I forgot. Again, not thinking at the moment very clearly that I don't have hair anymore as much as I used to. So, anyways, like these guys, it's not going to get a very tight curl, but you can kind of see it's not going to get a very smooth look. Like I'll show you one rat right here. See if I can see Mom in here, so she'll come on. Like right here, you see a smooth look. That is not a Rex gene. That's what that's more of a smooth coat, standard rat, if you will, type of gene. I'm going to show you one of the adult ones. That way you can actually see it. The pups, it can kind of hard to see. So I'm going to show you this gentle giant. guy in here. He does have the Rex gene. You can see his Richard arc kind of crinkle a little bit, and how his fur kind of stands out a little bit. Unlike the other one that you saw, his fur is standing out. It's not very smooth, and he's not very camera shy. Hi, buddy. Their coats stand out versus, see if I can get another example here. Nope, those are some more Rexes. Come here, Mama. Here's Mama, see? Well, she actually had one of the Rex gene herself. Trying to see if I can find you guys more completely smooth. I know I have some smooth ones in here. But anyways, sum it up. The Rex gene, you're gonna have that more puffier look, somewhat of the curls to it if they really have bad. Now, like I said, if one of the parents carries that gene, about 50% of that litter is going to resemble that gene of having the crinkled whiskers and the somewhat curly fur and somewhat more of a poofy look, rather than a nice smooth fur coat type look that looks a little more shinier versus what that young man looked like. Well, I shouldn't say young man, he's kind of an older guy. He's one of our older breeders, fixing to retire here soon. Fixing to put him in one of the other tubs to kind of just supervise the little ones, keep them in check. So now we know that if we have at least one parent that has the Rex gene, being dominant, at least 50% of them are gonna have it. The other carries of that gene and always pass it on, of course. Now, if we put two of those together, it being a dominant gene, we're going to have what we call a double Rex, which can oftentimes create a rat with spotty fur, losing a hair type of thing, that even can produce a hairless rat, which we do actually have. As a matter of fact, I'm going to drag him real quick and kind of show you guys real quick if he's willing. This is what we'd call a double Rex. You can see that he has very little fur. He's not too fond of being handled yet, still working with him. But you can kind of see what he looks like there. That's what, if you put two Rex genes together, that's what you're going to come out with. Somewhat of a hairless rat. He's not completely hairless. He's somewhat patchy and stuff like that. Okay, buddy. Oh, let me put him back real quick. Again, he's not a big fan of being held yet. That's what it's going to look like if you put two those dominant genes of the Rex gene together. They can produce something like, they can end up producing something like that. Little fur. I've actually had one. I have now that I have in the house. I should have left brought her out here where there's completely no fur whatsoever, and sometimes it can just be kind of patches where it kind of looks like they're rats. In my opinion, it kind of makes the rats look like they're kind of sick or something wrong with them, like they got a dry skin, can have it, but really it's just part of their gene makeup of the two collaborating together, if you will. You guys can see here we got a lot more patterns to kind of see from. This is kind of like, I guess, I believe, if I remember correctly, is what you could call a chinchilla pattern. Is what we're looking at here. And I did just change this. Their bedding just yesterday, guys, before anybody, you guys, kind of get on to me about keeping their stuff clean. Another corrugated rack. I'm actually pretty sure this is the one I showed you guys earlier. Let's see if I can find a little more different, kind of give you guys some examples. This is that Berkshire one jinx. You can see the underneath white belly. Oh, see, come on, give me, mamas, don't you bite me. I know I'm messing with your babies. I'm sorry. Right here is what you would call a squirrel. You can see the gray and white underneath, and you have a bit of a white spot in the head, and they call that the squirrel pattern. Mom would not have too happy with me messing with their babies. So right here is kind of what you'd call, I believe it's the chop pattern. Come here, mama. It's the chop pattern because it's only part of the head. I could be wrong on that one. I'm not 100%. I feel like I'm mistaken that. There's a real pretty one here I was wanting to show you guys if I can find them. And if they're a solid brown, I can't find that solid brown I was looking for. But if they're a solid brown, I'm on the floor so you guys can see. Give me a second here. If they're solid brown, they're gonna be like a chocolate. So, like I said, you guys, there's a lot of different patterns. Just as there's a lot of Morris ball pythons, and they all have their own unique traits that tell a little bit of a story about them. that kind of make them look a little bit cooler. So that's that as far as their patterns and traits. And I'm recapping everything real quick. You have your hooded. You got the markings are controlled by the genes. Wherever the gene is going to control how much white or color is on their bodies and where it's going to be placed at, as well as their coats. Coats like I showed you at the Berkshire at. It affected coats instead of it being a very smooth look like you see some of those pups, like those pups I was showing you earlier. They're not going to have that Rex gene, at least as far as where it's going to be showing. They're going to have that nice smooth, almost like a silky like look to them, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put you guys on the tripod. It's a little bit easier to, and I don't have to keep moving my hand. I'm a talker with hands, so give me 1 second. Okay, that's better than I'm having to hold the phone. So you guys can tell by now, I talk with my hands. It's kind of what I do. It makes it a little bit easier to put together. When you're raising four daughters, your mind doesn't always stay intact, so you kind of lose your mind a little bit. You need help remembering things. This, for some reason, kind of helps me talk about my memory on some stuff. Back to what I was saying, we got plenty of patterns. We talk about the Rex gene for their coats that affects their look. Like we saw with old man up here. He has that more kind of poofed out look. It's a little more crinkly. We talked about that we have some recessive genes, dominant genes, and if we put two dominant genes as far as like the Rex one together, that becomes a double Rex. We can actually produce a hairless rat, and as well as or have that patchy look. Like I wish I still had the one. I had sold at the theater the other day, and a perfect example. His fur was very patchy, kind of like he was losing fur, but he wasn't. It was just that was his gene because mom and dad were both had that Rex gene in them. So and that's what we covered. So that's what we covered today. If I missed anything else, what we covered on a little recap here, I do apologize. For the reason I'm blanking right now. Once you understand how the pattern spectrums, the recessive ear genes, and the dominant coat traits work together, you'll be able to read your litters like second nature, like it's look at the back of your hand. It becomes very simple. It just takes a little bit of research, kind of looking into it, and kind of just really familiarize yourself with the litters and the patterns that are out there. And once you do that, you can actually create some really cool animals with the rats. And as well, even if you're not a breeder, even if you're just somebody who's looking for a companion pet rat just to have, you think they're super cool, because they really are. They're very intelligent animals. If you're curious, hey, why does that rat look the way it does? Now you know. Now you can kind of have an idea of why it looks that way. What made it look like that? Give you a little bit of history, a little more context behind them. You get honestly, guys. Just like there's no such thing as just a snake. There's no such thing as just a rat. Rats are super cool creatures. Get a bad rat on label, but they're pretty cool animals. And honestly, in my opinion, besides the fact that I breed them, I'd much rather have a rat over a dang hamster. In my opinion, hamsters can be boring. They're meaner. These guys, they're nice. They're a lot nicer. They're a lot more intelligent. They cool standoffish. They are scared. We're a lot bigger than they are. But once they get to know you, know that you're a friend, not a predator looking to do them harm or off them or anything like that. They're pretty friendly. They're very kind natured. We had one growing up that would hang out, run the house, run the street, never had an issue. Again, they're really incredible creatures. So you got to get past that. It's just a rat. It's just this. Nothing is just as what it seems. We got to quit judging that book by its cover and not be afraid to open it up and see what's inside. So that's pretty much it for us here at Morphing Surfs today. We covered a lot of ground to kind of look for patterns, the traits, what the traits do, how they're somewhat similar to the ball python morphs, and kind of a bit of how everything kind of happens when you're breeding them. So that way we know why they look the way they do and what affects all that. If you guys like what you guys saw here, please give us a like and subscribe to us. Drop a comment down below. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'd love to hear it. Hear you guys' feedback. It really helps me grow, helps me learn on what I could improve on, or what you guys enjoyed. That way I know what to do more or better on in the future. Well, again, that's it for us. And until next time, Morphers, more fun.